So for us, when we looked at the Senate Climate and Energy Bill first called ACES in the House, we wanted to figure out how did we actually create an opportunity to provide quality employment, but also to be able to make sure that there were equity provisions in the House version of the bill. The first provision we worked on and were successful on actually allocates $860 million to the Green Jobs Act, which will train workers, particularly women and those from disadvantaged communities, for jobs in the clean energy economy. It also will leverage significant private sector money. These green energy industries will be able to hire qualified workers, job-creating renewable energy and efficiency employee and employee 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 employee and a demonstration project, which is a critical component. This project creates middle-class careers in the green economy for low-income Americans. It's important to understand is the first provision creates training opportunities. The second actually guarantees and creates employment. It will allow the Secretary to target employment and training opportunities in green construction to workers in communities who traditionally have had little access to career track jobs with high, specifically women and people of color. And that type of legislation is difficult, and were it not for the support of not only the Congressional Black Caucus, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, civil rights organizations, it would not have been possible. We have a responsibility to ourselves, especially to women and children, low-income communities, communities of color, to get this right. So many of us grew up living in poverty and recognize what it feels like, and we have an opportunity to actually provide economic security and to end the cycle of poverty for so many people. By radically reducing pollution, we will improve the health of our families and neighborhoods and repair our deteriorating atmosphere. By creating millions of quality jobs and careers, we can actually pull America out of this recession, better protect women from future economic turmoil, and improve life here and across the globe. And at Green for All, we will continue to advocate for these provisions, whether it be in the city of Portland, where there was an agreement just signed to actually create many opportunities like this on a retrofit project, or federal legislation around climate and energy, or in cities like Detroit. And we think that calls like this are critical because we know that the loss of employment triggers not just poverty, but also reduces economic security. And if we don't work to make the green economy equal for all, women, their families, and these communities with the most to lose will get left behind again. And we really want to be able to work in communities, supporting grassroots leaders, organizations like CAUSE and Chicago Women in Trades, as they work to make the green recovery real for women. Thank you.
Thank you, Phaedra. This is Serena Khan. I'm the Vice President of Programs at the Women's Foundation of California, and I also want to add my thanks to all the participants on today's call for being here. We're just thrilled about the launch today and about being a partner in the Women's Economic Security Campaign. The Women's Foundation of California, since 1979, has invested in women and girls to build a California where all communities are healthy, safe, and economically prosperous. And we've always prioritized economic security with the belief that when women are economically secure, our families are more economically secure, our families are safer, and we have better chances of accessing health care and living in communities that are free from pollution and environmental toxins. In our 30 years, we've awarded more than $25 million in grants and capacity building assistance to more than 1,200 community-based organizations, and we're fortunate today to be with one of those organizations that's received support from the Foundation for many years, which is CAUSE, the Central Coast Alliance United for a Sustainable Economy. It's my pleasure to introduce Marisela Morales, who's the Associate Executive Director of CAUSE, which works to build grassroots power to realize social, economic, and environmental justice for the people of Ventura and Santa Barbara counties here in California. And they do this through policy research, leadership development, organizing, and advocacy. With that, Marisela, I'll turn it over to you so that you can tell us about some of the work that you're doing around women in the green economy.
Thank you, Serena, and thank you to all the organizers and the Women's Fund. We so need this Women's Economic Security campaign nationally, locally, and certainly globally. I'm really inspired by the gathering today and by this webinar, by the women, and I'm sure there are men that are on this call that are not waiting to see the change, but making the change. And we do need to do it collaboratively, and we are making change happen, but we do have a long way to go. At the local level, a little bit about cause and how we started to focus at women's issues. When we were at the 11th hour of our county living wage campaign, this was really what gave birth to cause. Back in 2000, at the 11th hour, there was a sector of workers that were specifically excluded from the living wage at the county level, and it was the in-home support service workers, IHSS workers. These are caregivers, about 95% women, and they were excluded, and it was okay, apparently, by the Board of Supervisors to do this. That gave rise to our Women's Economic Justice Project, and we worked with SEIU to get collective bargaining rights for these workers, and they are now represented by SEIU. But that certainly is just one piece of it. Here with the green jobs, as has been stated by others before, women are severely underrepresented. This is a growing sector, and so we want to do as much as possible at the ground level as well as support state and national efforts to make this change. So we're focusing on both the workforce development side as well as the policy side. As Shantae said earlier, this is about both training for the jobs as well as creating the jobs. And so one of the things that we've done on the ground is we've convened diverse stakeholders, organizations that are in some way involved in recruiting, retaining, placing women into these jobs. What we found is that there's just been a complete lack of awareness, consciousness about the fact that women are not in these jobs. And so as an example, Megan Uzel mentioned that there's some work being done to have to expand retrofitting homes. So those are green jobs. Locally, in our area, there has never been a woman hired by our local community action agency to be an installer in home weatherization. That they've never been installers, which is a higher paying job. In our building and construction trades over the last 10 years, there has not been a woman who has graduated from the apprenticeship program. And so we have a long way to go on this. So we convened diverse stakeholders, including the Workforce Investment Board, community colleges, high school career and technical education, elementary school board, housing authority, Concerned Black Women of the Conejo Valley, the Baptist churches, as well as the building and construction trades, to learn from successful models. We invited the Oregon Tradeswomen and Irvington Covenant Community Development Corporation, also from Portland, to share their successful models. As was said earlier by Jane, it seems to really make a difference when these training programs are very, very targeted to women, by women, for women, because we are working within a sector, the construction sector, where only 3% are women. So we are at that place where it makes a big difference when these programs are very, very targeted to women and led by women. So that was one step for us to facilitate the development of new training programs, because we need them to be multiplied at the local level and nationally. Secondly is policy, because we can train women, but then if there are not measures to target the hiring of women, then we will have trained women that are still not accessing those jobs. And so at the local level, we're working with city and county electeds to adopt project labor agreements. And although they've been around since the 1930s, the electeds are actually, we've found, not informed about project labor agreements.